Hi, it's May 10th. I'm on Torrey Road looking at a fairly large home here, a two-story. Appears to be pretty well put together. I just want to show you some of the things that can happen with larger homes on, of course, relatively small lots, and where backyard water has to be drained out to the front street, and sometimes these things can go wrong and cause problems in the home. So this house has a good example of that. I'm just going to show you that. We're walking along the south side of the house here. We've got what appears to be a fair bit of sod and stuff has been thrown in here trying to improve grading, because in the first 10 years there's a lot of settlement, and settlement has been quite severe here at the back, partially because they've got a downpipe here, and the downpipe has no extension, so the water is dropping down right beside the house. It's created a bit of a pit in the ground. Then we can see the water has flowed over, and instead of heading down the side yard, it's cut a channel under the window well here. And then we look into the window well and we can see lots of evidence of water, lots of cracked soil, and a big hole. So that water is not actually going out to the street at all. The water from this back downpipe is all going down into the weeping tile. We've got a channel for that right here. This pipe is sticking up. It'll have been filled with gravel. So that's a great conduit to send water into the weeping tile. And of course, in homes after 1989, that weeping tile is all being drained into the sump chamber in the basement, and then it has to get pumped out of the house. Problem there, of course, is if that pump fails, then the house floods. As you see the backyard here, the backyard's nicely graded, sloped toward the house, but there's a bit of a swale, and enough of a swale that'll direct that water out of the backyard, right down the side yard here, right towards me, and of course into the window well. So again, massive amounts of water could end up in this window well instead of draining out to the front street where it should be going. With regrading, this is all correctable. We've got a clear opportunity here to have a swale running all the way to the front street, and none of this water would have to be draining into the weeping tile. So on the other side of the house, we're going to go around the other side here, see how things look over here. I think it's somewhat better. The yard is sloped so that most of the water is going to head to the south side. Somehow, however, we'll probably head down here. And this side's a bit better. We do have a dip here, where a big chunk of siding I see is laying on the ground. Got to figure out where that came from. Hopefully not the side of the house, but quite possibly it did. Looks like a matching color. And here we've got a big dip in here where the ground has sunk. Looks like water's been pooling here. And it doesn't appear, at least recently, that it's been going into the window well, although the dirt that's been piled in here would suggest to me that it probably was going in this window well, and somebody threw a bunch of dirt up against it here. So they saw a problem right here. They've already made an effort to correct it, and that may have been successful. At this point, they haven't put any soil or gravel to bring the base of the window well up to the bottom of the window. See, it's about a foot below the base of the window. So that would suggest that they saw a bit of trouble here. One of the indications that you also could have had trouble is here's your sump discharge. Now that water from the south end, if it goes in the weeping tile into the sump, gets pumped out, it comes out here. With this negative grade in here, that sump water could very easily have been pumping back onto this side of the house and running into this window well before they put the soil around here, and that may be the very action that prompted this correction. So they've made one change, which is good, but more change is required here to ensure that the house is not going to flood in the future. Another small point I'm going to make is that all the basement windows of this house would not serve as bedrooms for two reasons. One is, as you see here, the window well is actually only 15 inches from the window, and by code you have to have a minimum of 21 inches for an emergency exit. And the second reason is that the total opening of this window would be about 2.5 square feet, and to meet the qualifications for an emergency exit it has to be closer to 4 square feet, 0.35 meters squared. It's in metric. So none of the windows here this house would actually be acceptable for emergency exits. So in theory there should be no bedrooms in the basement, which from the dolls in the window may not be the case. That's it. Just wanted to show you that so you could see how grading can go wrong. Nice big house, looks like it's well constructed with probably about 10 years passing now. Grading has collapsed and the house is set up for a flood.